Alright everyone, all hands on deck for this one. Now our sources are telling us that these two have a history. But as far as Coach Shroom is concerned, let's make sure we don't write any more pages today.
Hello everyone, Shroomraver here and welcome to PPL NX Single Eliminations Round 2. Yes indeed, last time we got a good win in a very fun game against Pokebaldi. But now it is round 2 of the single eliminations and boy howdy have I been looking forward to this one. We are taking on none other than the Donphanatic, aka Jack, and the Norwich Skitty. His links down in the description below, make sure you check them out along with everybody else. Yeah, just one of my best friends in the community. He's one of the people I've known the longest. A great guy, always a good time to take on Jack. We've had so many battles in the past. So really looking forward to this one. Not looking forward to the team though. No sir. No howdy. He can choose from Annihilate, Zapdos, Glamora, Latias, Sarina, Alamamola, Heatran, Rabombi, Polyswine, and Munchlax. A lot of nasty things on there. A lot of bulk to try and break through. Not easy to do. Pretty much everything on there outside of like the Rabombi can run a dedicated and effective bulky set. With a lot of power behind it. He's got set up out the wazoo, stuff like Annihilate, Glamora, Lati, Rabombi, even the Munchlax can spiral out of control with setup. And they can all run a variety of stuff to boot. So, not going to be an easy one to go for. But here is the team that we are bringing. Starting off with Dual Screens Light Clay Primarina. We have a fair amount of speed on there actually, to get past some of the uninvested bulkier things that he might be packing. Stuff like the Heatran, stuff like, I think, a very uninvested Annihilate, maybe probably more likely the Sarina. Moonblast and Flip Turn are the moves of choice for offensive stuff. Moonblast goes pretty hard into everything that isn't the Glamora or the Heatran. Flip Turn will do for those. So, looking to try and set up screens for a few things to do some work here. Next up we have Assault Vest Ogerpon, just like last time. Max Speed, Max Attack, Jolly Natured. Ivy Cudgel, Play Rough, U-Turn and Knockoff. The likely switch in to this Ogerpon is going to be the Zapdos. Or the Heatran, depending on whether that comes if he thinks I have Stomping Tantrum. Sarina could do it as well. But we just want to kind of hit things and then U-turn on out of there to set up chip damage for other things to take advantage of. One of those things being a potential late game win con in the form of Scarf Mesprit, coming in with Mystical Power, Shadow Ball, U-turn and Stealth Rock. Modest Nature on here. Stealth Rock is just in case I get the opportunity to. I don't see myself clicking it too much. U-turn if I have to go into this early and scout things out. Shadow Ball is good coverage, but Mystical Power is what I'm going to be clicking. Jack's draft does not have a Dark type, so there are no immunities to Mystical Power. The only resists he has to this are the Latias and the Heatran. Honestly, I don't see the Heatran coming to this one. I don't think it has a good matchup. I think this is going to be just top 6 with maybe Rabombi as a setup guy, not webs. My team is very anti-webs, which may put off the Rabombi from coming. But if the Latias can take some big damage or go down, then Scarf Mesprit in the late game could be putting in a bunch of work. Then we have another potential win con behind screens. We have Weakness, Policy, Agility to Dunsparce with Boom Burst, Shadow Ball and Earth Power, Max Special Attack Modest on there. After an Agility, we're outspeeding the entirety of Jack's team. And there are a few things that can set off the Weakness Policy. Behind screens, you're looking at Annihilate being the biggest option. Maybe even a high jump kick from Sarina. But also stuff like Aura Sphere coming in from the Latias could set that off too. We are naturally bulky enough to take pretty much any given hit. Get up an Agility and start firing off big hits with the Dunsparce. Let's see. After that, we have Physically Defensive Muck. We've got a decent amount of speed on there to be outspeeding. I think that is again an uninvested Sarina or potentially even an uninvested Alamamola. We have Gunk Shot, Drain Punch, Toxic and Sub. There's a few things on here that I would really like to get a Toxic off onto. Stuff like the Lati, which could be an aggressive switch in. Getting a Toxic on that would be lovely. Zapdos 2, who may want to stay in and try and get damage, scout out for an Assault Vest. So if I can Toxic sub some things down, I have Mons on this team, the likes of the Dunsparce, the Mesprit, that can put in a lot of work once like one thing has gone down. And none of those one things enjoy being Toxic Souled. So if that's what Muck has to do, so be it, to make way for something else to do big damage. Speaking of big damage, the final member of our team, a bit of an unexpected one, we have Choice Banded Dusknoir. Max attack Adamant, we have the speed on there to outrun, once again it's that uninvested Alamomola. Poltergeist, Shadow Sneak, Earthquake, and Focus Punch. Focus Punch is on there specifically in case the Munchlax comes and wants to be a Switchin. Earthquake is going to be hitting the Heatran and the Glamora for massive damage. Outside of that, really, I mean, to be honest, outside of the Munchlax, and maybe a very physically defensive Violet Piloswine, Poltergeist 2-hit KOs the entire team. Physically defensive Alamomola will take it, but I'm seeing specially defensive Alamomola coming here, because the Zapdos is looking to be a Phys-Deathmon in this particular matchup for the likes of my Iron Treads, my Ogerpon, things like that. And a physically defensive Zapdos is 2-hit KO'd by Poltergeist on Dusknoir, which is crazy. This thing can do a stupid amount of work. Once again, there is no Dark type here, so there's no resists, the only immunity is Munchlax, and again, I think for Jack, this is probably a top 6 game, with maybe the Rabombi as an option over one of them. But that is pretty much the team we're working with. Excited to use it. Let's get into the team matchup screen and see what Jack has decided to bring against us. So, as you can see, Jack has decided to bring Zapdos, Annihilate, Saurina, Latias, Alamomola, and Glamora. Pretty much the 6 we're expecting. It's a top 6 game. Assuming that this is going to be like Fizdef, Zapdos, Scarf Ape, AV, Aloe, AV Saurina, possibly a lead Glamora. My lead is always going to be my Dusknoir. I can hit everything with Poltergeist, and if I see the Glamora, I just click Earthquake, in case it is a Focus Sash lead set, and then Poltergeist will force me to switch out after it's been used. But that is what I'm going to go with, starting off with Dusknoir and just try and punch a big hole early game. So, here we go, PPL NX Elimination Round 2 versus the Donphanatic and Norwich Skitty. He is going to lead off with the Zapdos. I'm going, as I say, with my my Dusknoir. This is fine. I'm gambling pretty much on this thing being a physically defensive Zapdos, and if that's the case, I still 2-hit KO with Poltergeist, and he can't 2-shot me back if he's a Fizz Death set. So I am just going to lock in, go for Poltergeist immediately off rip, and see exactly how much damage we can do to each other. So, here comes the Thunderbolt from Zapdos. That is not going to 2-shot. We are going to go, as I say, for the Poltergeist, find those heavy-duty boots, come in, and that is going to do a clean over half to this guy. Now, he is physically defensive from that damage, not fully invested in HP, probably. But he will know from that damage that we are banded. And to be honest, he doesn't have anything that wants to take this hit. Like, anything is going to take over half, and he doesn't want it to be Zapdos. So he is going to U-turn on out of there, obviously doing no damage. But now, he has to pick something to take over half from a Poltergeist. And he has to pick something that isn't too slow, and that can actually revenge me from this range. So, he is going to make the choice of going into his Saurina. Poltergeist is going to come in. We find the protective pad, so it's not AV, but my goodness, it's offensive, because that does huge amounts of damage. This thing is taking 19 to 95% from that easily, so he's definitely an offensive Saurina. I want to keep my my Dusknoir around. You know, there's some good options for it to do work later on, so I don't want to take a knockoff, that's for sure. So I need to pick something to go into on this Saurina. So, I'm going to pull Dusknoir back, and it is going to be my Muck that is going to come in on what I'm assuming is going to be a knockoff. And there it is. The knockoff comes in. I don't have Sticky Hold. That's a mistake on my part. It should have been. I'm Poison Touch. Silly me. But we still take the hit fairly well due to our investments. And now, looking at it, what does he want to go into here? Muck is great into this matchup, but there is a bit of a problem that it does enable the Glamora, and since he didn't lead with it, it could be that Power Herb set, and I need to bear that in mind. Either way, I am just going to go for the Drain Punch in case he wants to go into that. If he stays in, he's dying, and, you know, whatever he goes into will be taking at least a little bit of chip damage. So he is going to go for the U-turn. I could have gone for sub, but once again, like, I don't want to be too passive against the Glamora. And if it is sashed, I want to break that at any given moment, just so that something can come in and potentially try and one-shot. Now, in for Jack is going to come the Latias. We're going to go for Drain Punch. That is going to do the square root of absolutely nothing at all. Now, I do not want to stay in with Muck on this guy. If he is just straight up offensive, like 4 moves, or just like Carmine Tree attacks, he is going to blow us back. And I do want to keep Muck around to sponge a couple of physical hits, and if the Toxic Debris from the Glamora does go off, I'm going to want Muck there to absorb those. So Muck has to get on out of here. While I consider Toxicking, it's not a risk I can afford to take. Now, Jack is actually going to pull a double here. I guess potentially anticipating me to stay in and go for a knockoff. He's going to go into his Annihilate, potentially looking to get a Rage Fist boost as early as possible. But I didn't want to stay in with Muck, and I'm going to make the offensive read and go into my Dusknoir. Now, this is good. If he is indeed that Scarfate that I'm anticipating, a Rage Fist unboosted will not kill me. And he will be blown back by a Poltergeist. So it's whether he wants to take that risk. I'm happy to stay in here. I can just click Poltergeist and pretty much, once again, just put 50% on something or claim a kill. Now, Jack's having none of it. He does not like this matchup, and for good reason. He is going to get out of there and go into his Sarina, realizing at this point that something pretty much has to die. We're going to go for Poltergeist. Thankfully, we are going to keep on hitting those. That is going to take out the Sarina, so down that goes. And once again, for the second time I brought it this season, the first kill of the game which it's involved in goes to Dusknoir. But now in comes the big threat. It is the Glamora. And like I say, the fact that he hasn't gone into it yet until this moment, leading me to believe that he is not the Focus Sash set, especially given that I'm going for Poltergeist, kind of leading me to believe that he is Meteor Beam Power Herb, which is a scary thing to have to face off against. Now, if that is the case, he will kill my Dusknoir, and I'm firmly believing that Dusknoir can put in a good amount of work, especially since his immunity to Shadow Sneak in the form of Sarina is now gone. So with a lot of chip damage on stuff, it's a potential endgame unlock for Dusknoir. The one thing I'm pretty certain of is that he's not going for Poison Stab. So what I'm actually going to do is make a bit of an odd play and go into my Ogerpon here. Try and tank the Meteor Beam, which I should do, given my AV, and potentially get a couple of Ivy Cudgels off into this Glamora, and put it then potentially in range of Dusknoir if we don't outright kill. So, gonna make that play, go into my Ogerpon, hoping to take a Meteor Beam, but Jack's actually going to make a wonderful read here and go for the Rock Polish. This has just become incredibly scary. But I should still take one Meteor Beam fairly well, and seeing we've just seen Agility, that's definitely what he's going for. And I don't have anything that wants to switch in, so what I'm forced to do here is stay in, go for Ivy Cudgel, and hope that we can do enough damage to this Glamora to put it in range of something else, or take not enough damage to the point where we can maybe live another hit afterwards, although that's looking dubious. We basically just need to hit this thing and do as much as we can. So it is going to be that Meteor Beam set, and obviously that means there's going to be a Power Herb involved. The special attack boost comes in. We should be taking sort of just over half, I'm thinking, and be able to get a good hit off. This comes in and does way more than that, because this is modest Glamora. The Ivy Cudgel comes in and does just over half, which is nice, and the Toxic Debris goes off, but this is now a +2 speed, +1 special attack, modest-natured Glamora, and unfortunately it is not in range of Dusknoir's Shadow Sneak right now, so I'm kind of scrambling here. I have to stay in with Ogerpon. There is nothing I can do to save Ogerpon here. It's unfortunately going to have to go down without getting another kill. But my Primarina will go down to a Sludge Wave, my Dusknoir will go down to basically anything. Sludge Wave, as you see, is going to come in, and that is going to take out my Ogerpon, so down that goes. And like I say, I am struggling here. Part of me wants to go into Muck, but unfortunately, I can't really afford to get rid of the T-Spikes until this thing is gone. However, I do have an out. because the Dunsparce exists, and the Dunsparce is just so stupidly naturally tanky that even if this thing is max special attack modest, I should at least take a Sludge Wave. I will die to Sludge Wave plus T-Spikes in the process, but getting rid of this Glimmora is just that important that this is the play I have to make. And I have to rely on other win cons later on down the line to see this one home. So, the Dunsparce is going to hit the field. We do take the poison damage, but like I say, the calcs are telling me that this Sludge Wave cannot kill us. And that is all I need. I just need to live the hit and go for Earth Power. If the Dunsparce goes down in the process, so be it. This thing is too much of a threat to fuck around with. So I'm just going to stay in, go for Earth Power. I can't Agility, because he's at +2 already, and he outspeeds me. So, here comes the Sludge Wave. I'm told I should live this, and we do just about. Which is crucial. Earth Power is going to come in. That, of course, is going to take out the Glimmora. That crit did not matter. Down goes the very threatening Glimmora, which is a huge weight off my mind. Obviously, the poison is going to take out the Dunsparce, so it is a double down. But I gain a lot more from this interaction than Jack does, thankfully for me.
Shit. Yes, sir. Yeah, he seems to have been able to counter the setup again. He's getting his information from somewhere, but I don't think the consortium's going to be very happy about it. I think we need a new plan, sir. Understood.
Now Jack is going to go back into his lead Zapdos. I kind of thought this would happen, and with defensive Zapdos coming in and T-Spikes on the field, it's pretty much free real estate for Muck. Muck comes in, that's going to get rid of the T-Spikes. They are gone for good, which is grand. Now, Muck has no special defense investment, but it is very specially tanky. So it should be taking any given hit from this Zapdos, and the most important thing for me right now is to get a Toxic off onto it. If I can start wearing this Zapdos down, it puts it in range of a bunch of things if it wants to roost up, which is kind of what I'm anticipating him to go for here. It is going to be the roost from the Zapdos, which you can just about see behind Muck's giant slimy body. But thankfully we are going to go for the Toxic. That is going to land onto the Zapdos and put it on that Toxic timer, which is just one of the best ways of taking down any given Zapdos. This is good. Now, looking at him as a defensive prospect, which he definitely is, Thunderbolt will not be doing enough to prevent me from making a sub. So that is what I'm going to do. He will 2-hit Chaos from this range, but the Thunderbolt should leave us with enough HP to at least make a sub and get that extra round of chip damage with the Toxic. So whilst I consider going for Gunk, I am just going to drop a sub here and try and stall out this Zapdos a little bit. So in comes the Thunderbolt. As you'll see, that is doing, well, over half of what we had, but not enough to prevent the Substitute, which is really useful. Substitute's going to go up, and Zapdos is going to have to stay in to break it, which means I'm going to be able to get some free Gunk Shot damage off. Now, Muck's time on this field is very limited, so we have to do as much as we can with the pieces that we've got. He's going to have to stay in. He can't afford to go out into something else to break the sub and take another Toxic potentially. So he is going to stay in and go for the Thunderbolt here, which is fine. That is, of course, going to break my Muck's Substitute, and we're going to go for a Gunk Shot. Now, this is not going to do a whole lot of damage, but as you'll see, it is, with a Toxic, going to put Zapdos very far down into the red. Now, if he wants to roost, so be it. That Toxic damage is just going to rack on up. But, given that I started going for Gunk Shots, I am going to make a read here. Muck is going to go down if he goes for a Thunderbolt anyway, so what I'm actually going to do is drop a Toxic, hoping that he is going to want to go into the Annihilate to pick up a Rage Fist boost from a resisted Gunk Shot. And that is exactly what is going to happen. Zapdos is going to switch out of there and looking to pick up that Rage Fist boost. Jack is going to go into the Annihilate. We're going to be able to drop a Toxic on him. This is really good. Obviously, if he is that like Resto Chesto bulk up set, then that's not going to really matter all that much. But I'm not anticipating him to be set up. I'm anticipating him to be scuffed. So any chip damage from Toxic is going to be super nice. Now, Muck has pretty much run its course here. There is not a whole lot else it can do. So I am just going to stay in and click Gunk Shot. If he takes us out, he takes us out. That's fine. But I should be able then to go into Primarina and at the very least threaten him out with a Moonblast. So I'm going to stay in, go for Gunk Shot, and just see what he potentially wants to lock himself into. Now this was unexpected. Gonna go for Stealth Rock. Did not see that coming in a million years on the 8th, but Stealth Rock is going to go up. We are going to land the Gunk Shot, and that is going to do not a whole huge amount. This is clearly a bulkier set, and it is packing leftovers. So he is not Scarf Ape, which is really good to know actually, because that means my Mesprit will be outpacing him, which is fantastic news. And we are getting that chip damage off. And the fact that he's leftovers means that he isn't Chesto Berry. And the fact that he's Stealth Rock kind of implies he's not going to be Rest Sleep Talk either. So I'm kind of thinking in my head that, where else would you think? I'm kind of thinking that he's not going to be able to get rid of that Toxic. That is there to stay. So I am now going to stay in and keep clicking Gunk Shot. This is where the Drain Punch is going to come in. It's going to kill. That's fine. He's going to get very little health back from it. Muck is going to go down. But the fact that he is not Choice Scarfed is huge knowledge to have on my side. Now, I'm going to choose to go into my Primarina here and not look for the kill with Mesprit. A few reasons for this. One, this is an opportunity to get screens up. Two, the fact that he is clearly a very bulky ape means that my Mystical Power unboosted genuinely may not kill him. And I really want to keep Scarfed Mesprit in the back for that purpose. Also, there is a Latias still around, which I need to damage heavily before I can lock in on Mystical Power. So, Primarina is going to be the play here. And Moonblast is very likely the move of choice. I could go for Reflect, but I really doubt he's staying in right now. And the rest of what he's got left look to be more specially offensive, at least the offensive ones. So I am just going to click Moonblast. Jack is, of course, going to get out of there. He wants no part of this matchup. He is going to go into the Alamomola. Now, Moonblast is going to come in, and that is so AV it's not even funny. What is mildly funny is to get the special attack drop. But that is a very, very Assault-Vest fish. Now, at this point, I'm pretty much seeing a flip turn coming my way. I could go for a Moonblast again, but it's not going to really matter because he's going to be able to regen back all of that health. So, Light Screen is more likely going to be the play, given that it's probably Zapdos coming in. Outside chance of Lati, but that seems unlikely. Light Screen will allow me to mitigate any damage that Zapdos wants to do, so there it is. Light Screen is now up for the full 8 turns, and it is going to be that flip turn from the fish that comes in. He's going to get out of there, regen back all of that health, and the most likely switch here is going to be that Zapdos. And what do you know, there it is. However, he is at a very, very low amount of health, and even if he roosts here, it's not going to matter because Moonblast will be doing a fair amount of damage, and that Toxic is going to start to tick up and tick up. So I don't really lose anything here by going for a Moonblast. If he wants to Volt Switch, so be it, but he has U-turn, so it seems unlikely that he's packing that. He may just want to go for the attack, but we have a Light Screen up, it will not kill. Moonblast is very much my play here to scout out what he wants to do with Zapdos. And he is going to U-turn, that is going to do nothing, of course, to my Prim. But I have locked in on Moonblast, and the only thing he can really afford to go into here is going to be that Alamomola once again. And as you see, back in comes the Aloe. It's back to full, that's fine. We're going to go for Moonblast, get the same amount of damage before, and get another special attack drop. Now, at this point, there is every chance that he is going to flip turn again. But I outspeed, so I can't go for a flip turn of my own. So I am just going to keep clicking Moonblast. The idea there being to get this thing below 50% and try and keep it there. Because I'm running out of ways to realistically deal with this guy. We get him to around 60%, get a third special attack drop out of 3 because this is Serene Grace Primarina. Just kidding, of course it isn't. The Play Rough comes in and does basically nothing. But what this now means is that I can go for another Moonblast and chip him down to below 50%, which is exactly where I want to keep him. Maintain damage on the Aloe will make things easier later on to deal with it with either Mesprit or my Dusknoir. So, Moonblast is going to come in for yet another time, take him below 50%, and this is where the flip turn is going to come in. Now, I am very low on health, But, once again, he is in this position where, realistically, all he can do is go into the Zapdos and try for some damage now, and that is what he is going to do. But once again, that Toxic has ticked on down to the point where anything is going to kill him. At this point, he kind of has to go for Thunderbolt for the damage, so what I'm free to do is take that hit behind my light screen, go for Flip Turn, take out the Zapdos, and reposition myself. So, here comes the Thunderbolt, but as I say, behind that light screen, we will be taking that hit. And I'm just going to be able to go for the Flip Turn. That is going to take out the Zapdos, which is super nice. Down it goes, and we're going to Flip Turn on out of there. Now, we are 3v3. And my play here is to go into my Grippy Greg, my Dusknoir. Because once again, Alomomola is now at the point where it probably dies to a Poltergeist, as does basically everything. So anything he's got left, if it can't kill Dusknoir, it's going to die to a Poltergeist. And that should hopefully free up some space for Mesprit to do some work. If I can kill the Lati, I can lock in on Mystical Power. If I can kill the Aloe, then I can start locking in on Shadow Ball. So, in is going to come the Dusknoir, take a bit of Rocks damage. That is fine, because now something has to come in to take on Banded Poltergeist. And that Mon is going to be Latias. And that kind of sets alarm bells ringing. Because Latias, I'm behind a light screen. So, realistically, he can't actually one-shot me very easily, unless he gets some setup going. And that potentially means that this is a weakness policy set, not just like Carmine 3 attacks or a bulky build, because we didn't see leftovers before. But because I'm behind a light screen, I'm fairly confident he can't kill me even if he isn't like a stored power weakness policy set, for example. So I don't actually fear him going for like Psychic or even Psyshot, because he doesn't kill me. So I'm going to go for Poltergeist, and there is the stored power. He was indeed the weakness policy set, as we're going to see from this Poltergeist. It's going to come in, and it's going to ruin the Lati. Down it goes. He was very much anticipating my Shadow Sneak. But I didn't go for it, not necessarily because of fear of setting off weakness policy, but because I just didn't think he could take me out behind my light screen. So it turns out it was the right play to make after all. Now, in is going to come the Annihilate. Now, here, I very much could stay in, but he is at the point where Rage Fist should take me out. And I really do, in my mind, need this Dusknoir far more than I need Primarina, mostly because of that Alomomola, which I want to just keep hitting with my Poltergeist. So my play here is to get on out of there with Dusknoir, sack off my Primarina to the probably incoming Rage Fist, and then we go into Mesprit. So, Primarina gonna hit the field and be sacked off to, as I say, the incoming Rage Fist. That is gonna take me out from that range with the greatest of ease. Down goes Primarina. But now it is time, because the Lati is gone, because any kind of realistic check to my Mesprit is gone, it is time to bring it in. So that is what I'm going to do. I can very much freely lock in on Mystical Power here. And depending on how bulky this Annihilate is, the Mystical Power could take him out from full. There is always the chance that he thinks I'm packing a much more powerful Psychic move like Psychic. So what I have to do here is just go into it, lock in on Mystical Power. If I don't take him out, then this becomes a little dicey, but Shadow Sneak from Dusknoir might be able to do the job. But I have to lock in on Mystical Power. It's basically my only play with Mesprit, so we're going to do that and see if we can take out the Annihilate. But Jack senses the danger. He does not like this matchup. He is going to go into Alomomola, seeing that as his best way of winning this game. If he can get some regen back on it, presumably. But the Mystical Power is going to come in. It's not going to do a whole huge amount, but of course, we have that guaranteed special attack boost. Now I'm scarfed at +1, and yeah, we're starting to snowball here. This is what I wanted Mesprit to do late game. In comes the second Mystical Power. That's going to take him down very much into range, and now we're at +2 on special attack, and we're scarfed. He is going to Flip Turn on out of there. I guess realizing he just needs that regen to stand any chance here. But it is the only thing left is the Annihilate. So it is going to have to come in. and whether there was any doubt about Mystical Power being able to take out especially bulky Annihilate from where it was, certainly at +2 special attack, there is no doubt about that now. This thing is going down. There's always the chance we miss, which would be very unfortunate, but then we rely on Dusknoir Shadow Sneak, but as it is, we're not going to miss. Mystical Power is going to come in and claim the kill on the Annihilate, and now Mesprit is modest, max invested at +3 special attack. And now all that is left for Jack is going to be that Assault Vest Alamomola, which is going to come in at a good amount of health. Now, even though we're at +3, it'll take this hit, but it won't take it well. Mystical Power going to come in, that's going to take him well into range. The seagulls start crying in the distance. He's going to go for the Scald. It can nowhere near do enough damage. He's not going to get the burn. It doesn't matter. Even if we miss every single attack from here on in, Shadow Sneak will be able to do the damage. But it's all irrelevant, really, because we are going to hit the Mystical Power. Down goes the Alamomola. Mesprit cleaning up, and that is going to be the game. So yeah, great game to Jack the Donphanatic. His links down in the description below, so you check them out. Well, as I said before, just one of my best friends in the community, someone I've known for a very long time. Always enjoy our battles. Genuinely thought I played that one pretty well. You know, Jack actually played it very well as well. You know, he had his plans and he really tried to stick to them as much as possible, but I think it was the unexpected factor. You know, Scarf Mystical Power was probably not what he saw coming. Certainly not Bandit Dusknoir putting in work early on. We had a few, you know, dodgy moments. The Glamora could have done a whole lot of work, but thankfully the Dunsparce is ridiculously fat naturally, just about able to tank the hit and sack itself off nobly for the cause to enable my late game mons to do the work. So, we take another win in the single elims bracket. Very exciting stuff as we go into what is effectively the semi-finals of said elims bracket. We are going to be going up against, spoiler alert, Nova. Who has had some very good battles coming to this point. Never played them before, looking forward to giving it a shot. But that is going to be it from this one. I'm going to get out of here. I've rammed on for far too long. So my final thank you to you all for watching. And I guess with that, I'll see you next time. Laters.